Thank you for choosing a Woods Powr-Grip vacuum lifter to help you install metal panels safely and efficiently. We've created this quick start guide to assist you in the correct setup and use of your WPG Panel Master. This video is not a substitute for the lifter's instructions. Each operator should read and understand the entire instruction manual before using any vacuum lifter. The Panel Master is delivered in heavy-duty boxes. These boxes provide protection for the vacuum lifter during transport and storage. The small box contains a lifter's vacuum pads and T-arm assemblies. Set this aside for use later. Carefully open the large box and remove all packing materials. Be sure to keep the packing materials for transport and storage later. Release the tilt latch and raise the lift bar to the upright position. Attach your hoisting equipment to the lift spool and gently raise the lifter from the box. Never raise the lifter unless the lift bar is in the upright position, because you could damage the lifter. Carefully open the small box and remove all packing materials, vacuum pads, and T-arm assemblies. Be sure to keep the packing materials for transport and storage. With the lifter suspended from your hoisting equipment, you can install the T-arm assemblies. Remove the collarless hitch pins from the T-arms. Install the T-arms into sockets on opposite sides of the pad frame and away from the red strobe light. Secure the T-arms with the collarless hitch pins. Please note that the strobe light is intended to be visible over the side of an insulated metal panel. Remove the collarless hitch pins from the vacuum pads. Install the vacuum pads onto the T-arms. Secure the vacuum pads with collarless hitch pins. The vacuum lifter has two airline circuits. They are designated by red or green hoses and labels. Connect the hoses to the closest connection points with the matching color labels and push the connectors together until they lock. Connect the battery to the battery charger and vacuum generating system. Before you put the lifter into service, perform the required inspections and tests as directed in the instruction manual. Before every use, be sure to examine all controls, gauges, and indicators for visual damage. Examine the air filters and remove any liquid or contaminants found inside. The instructions explain how to properly disassemble the filter. Test the battery for an acceptable charge before every lift. If the battery gauge displays less than 50%, charge the battery fully before operating the lifter. If a battery loses its charge quickly or is unable to maintain a charge for a full work shift, replace it immediately. Make sure the sealing edges of all vacuum pads are in good condition and free of contaminants. The adjustable lift spool has three different positions. The two upper positions can be used with the T-arms. The lower position is not recommended because it may interfere with the T-arms. The forward angled position allows the lifter hang angle to be more vertical when loaded, but a large hook may interfere with the load. To adjust the position of the lift spool, remove the retaining bolt, loosen the pivot bolt, and move the lift spool as desired. Reinstall the retaining bolt and tighten both bolts securely. Determine the best position for the lifter on the panel based on the desired task. For a roof panel installation, the lifter must allow the panel to tilt to accommodate the pitch. In order to avoid damage to the lifter, the lift bar must be oriented so its linkage can tilt as needed with the panel. With the pad frame tilted and latched in the upright orientation, rotate the pad frame as shown. In order to attach to panels shipped in a stack lying flat, release the tilt latch to orient the pad frame so the pads face downward toward the stack. Center the pad frame between the sides and ends of the panel. Align the vacuum pads between the panel ribs, when applicable, and adjust the position as needed. For a vertical wall installation, the pad frame must be rotated in the same configuration as for roof panel installations. Position the pad frame centered between the sides and about 1/3 of the way down from what will be the top of the panel when it's set. Align the vacuum pads between panel ribs when applicable and adjust the pad position as needed. With the lifter positioned on the panel appropriately, flip the power switch to the on position. The blue power light will remain lit while the lifter is powered up. Please note, the power switch must remain in the on position during the entire lift. Press the apply button. This starts the vacuum pump, which draws air from the vacuum pads. The panel master is equipped with 2 vacuum gauges for monitoring vacuum levels. After both gauges show vacuum in the green areas, the green vacuum lift light will turn on. Now the load can be safely lifted. Please note that the vacuum pump will shut off automatically to conserve battery energy and will cycle occasionally to maintain sufficient vacuum for lifting. Also, if the pump cycles more often than once every few minutes, stop using the lifter right away and consult the instructions for maintenance information. The vacuum gauges must remain visible to be monitored throughout the entire lift. If the vacuum level ever falls below 16 inches of mercury, stay clear of the load and lower the load safely to the ground if possible. Do not resume normal operation of the lifter until the cause of the vacuum loss is corrected. The lifter also features a low vacuum warning buzzer and a flashing red strobe light which warn the operator and others nearby whenever the lifter's vacuum level drops below the minimum specified level. Lift the panel to position it as needed. For a roof panel installation, use tag lines to control the load orientation at all times and keep the load parallel to the ground. For a vertical wall installation, support the bottom of the panel while the hoisting equipment lifts the panel upward. The panel will tilt automatically as it is lifted, and the pad frame will latch when it reaches the upright position. Never lift a load over people. Keep all personnel far enough away from the lifter to avoid injury in the event of an unexpected load release. After you set the panel in place, do not use the lifter to drag the panel into final position, as this can cause serious damage to the lifter. Secure the panel in position. To remove the vacuum lifter from the secured panel, press the enable and release buttons at the same time to break the vacuum seal. The panel master is designed to prevent an accidental release by requiring both buttons to be pressed simultaneously. While continuing to hold the enable and release buttons, carefully raise the lifter until the vacuum pads are clear of the panel. When both buttons are released, the lifter will automatically return to standby mode to extend battery life. Once your workday or installation is complete, flip the power switch to the off position. Using the hoisting equipment, carefully lower the lifter onto appropriate supports. Do not set the lifter down on any surfaces that would soil or damage the vacuum pads. When the lifter is stable, detach the hoisting equipment from the lift spool. To transport or store the lifter, disconnect the battery from the vacuum generating system. Charge the battery completely and then disconnect the electrical connector between the battery and charger. Place vacuum pads and T-arms back into the boxes as appropriate. Release the tilt latch and tilt the pad frame into the flat position. Lower the lifter into the box and detach the hoisting equipment from the lift spool. Release the rotation latch and rotate the lift bar, then lower it into the box. Reuse the original packing materials to hold the lifter in place during transport and storage. Once you have closed the boxes, your lifter is ready to move to the next job. Make sure to read, understand, and follow the guidance provided in the instruction manual. It includes additional information and warnings not found in this video. Download a copy of the instructions for your specific lifter at wpg.com/service/product-info-downloads.